Hello? Is anybody there? Can we hear me? Oh no. Is this working? Oh yes, it's working. We're finally working. Can we hear me? We seem to be able to hear me. Let me see if we can hear me. Let me double check to make sure that we can hear me, because if we can't hear me, then there's no point in me doing this. So let me double check to make sure that I can hear myself. Okay. To make sure that I can hear myself. Oh, okay, I can't. We good. Okay, so I thought my volume wasn't, or I thought my mic was not working. Now, I'm just gonna wait to see if anybody else jumps into the video. I'm gonna give it like another 5 seconds. Nobody's gonna jump into this video. It's just me all by myself tonight. Okay. So we're going to talk about a couple of things. I've got my iPad in front of me because there's a couple of Facebook group posts that I just want to talk about. And I just wanted some company. So I just wanted to talk to some people and see if anybody was here. But evidently no one's here because no one cares when I just spontaneously go live. So the first thing that I want to talk about is how witchcraft is not a toy. You're like, we know this. Where is my vape juice? We know that witchcraft is not a toy. You don't have to tell us that witchcraft isn't a toy. Are you fucking insane? Clearly, I have to tell you people that witchcraft is not a toy because 4% of you understand that it's not a toy, but 96% of you don't understand that it's not a toy. So, like, what even is witchcraft? Let's start with the definition of what witchcraft is, because I'm pretty sure Lunar Wisdom's first argument to any of this conversation would be, well, Adam, how do you define witchcraft? And it's very, very simple. It is the manifestation of the things that you desire, but witchcraft can be very dangerous. And Lunar Wisdom's like, no, it can't. Witchcraft isn't dangerous at all. I don't think she would say that because I think she would agree with me that some aspects of the craft can be dangerous. So, for example, this person had posted in a Facebook group the other day that they wanted to do shadow work, but they didn't want to do shadow work in a way where it would release repressed traumas or whatever. Like, they didn't want to have to deal with all of that baggage, essentially. They just wanted to, I don't even know why they wanted to do shadow work, because at first they're like, how do you do shadow work without releasing all of the baggage and all of the trauma and all of the dark shadowy stuff, right? And then they went into like this 20 paragraph, no one gives a shit about your sad, pathetic life story about their sad, pathetic life, okay? Now, we all have sad, pathetic lives. Don't try and say that you don't, because we all have sad, pathetic lives. Every human on this earth has a sad and pathetic life, okay? However, this person decided to share everything about their sad and pathetic life, which is fine. You do you, whatever, no one cares. The point that I'm getting to is that you can't do shadow work without dealing with the things that you're doing shadow work for, okay? So let's say you've had some horrible trauma. I mean, just name any trauma, okay? Like Ember Honeyraven's got 50,000. I'm sure Lunar Wisdom has 120,000, and I have 360,000 reasons, okay? Or things that I could do shadow work on. The younger you are, the more broken and damaged you are. Let's put it that way. However, when we do shadow work, we're usually doing shadow work to get over those traumas, to get over those issues, to move on with our lives, to not deal with the garbage, okay, that we suppressed or that we buried inside ourselves for so long. So shadow work isn't necessarily dangerous because how do I put this? I don't want to say that there's no spell work involved in shadow work, but in order to do effective spell work, you have to get to the root cause of the issue that you're trying to do the spell work on. In order to get to the root cause of the issue that you're trying to do spell work on, you have to deal with that issue. Okay. So let's use me as an example. Okay. So I'm a person who has dealt with lots of darkness. Okay. We're going to use one of my examples so that I can give you more of a concrete example, okay? So as a child, I grew up in a very dark and twisty household, okay, right? Like I was in the system when I was a little older and grew up in the system from there. So if I was doing shadow work to process and deal with those issues around my dark and scary childhood, I would have to actually deal with those issues. If I wanted to do spell work, let's say I wanted to do a releasing spell, I wanted to release all of that pain and misery. Well, you can't release something you are clutching onto. Okay, so don't sit there and think, oh, I'm just going to go on Facebook and ask for a spell to release all my darkness and my trauma, because it's not going to work. Someone's going to give you a spell, sure. I mean, do you trust the internet to give you spells? No. So come up with them on your own, but that's a whole other subject. We'll get into that later. The core issue here is that if you don't deal with the thing that you're trying to do shadow work on, it's not going to resolve itself, okay? So you can't do shadow work if you're not willing to deal with the thing that you're doing shadow work on. And you can't do magic in relation to the shadow work on the things that you're trying to deal with if you're not willing to face them, okay? So if you're... This is where I have to put like a disclaimer because, you know, people get triggered. So if you're watching at this point in the video when it goes up onto YouTube for other people to watch, just realize that now is the time to click out if you really don't want to talk about triggering subjects. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple seconds to click away, go watch your happy place. Okay, now that those idiots are gone, let's talk about some real shit. If you're a person who has dealt with rape, spousal abuse, childhood trauma, or anything else that's just as dark and twisty, right? And you are not willing to face those, but you want a spell to release yourself from those particular issues that you're dealing with, the spell will not work because you are not willing to face the darkness, okay? That's what shadow work is about. You are facing the darkest aspects of yourself and either processing them, because realize that there are some things we can't change. We can't change our past, okay? If you're somebody who comes from a dark and twisty past, you can't change that. No spell, nothing will change the fact that you came from a dark and twisty past. There is no spell that will remove those memories from your mind, okay? I don't care what you say. These are facts, okay? If these are issues that you are trying to do shadow work with, but are refusing to deal with these issues in the way that you're not wanting to face the darkness, you're not wanting to deal with the pain and the misery and the trauma and all of that fun stuff, then I would suggest therapy. I would start there. I honestly, when a lot of witches on the internet, whether it's their dark and twistiness that they're trying to deal with, or whether it's something else that they're trying to deal with, a lot of these witches could use some good goddamn therapy, because sometimes magic just isn't enough. Sometimes, no matter how many spells we cast, no matter how much journaling we do, no matter how much art we put into our craft as a kind of therapy, sometimes that's not enough. And sometimes you need professional medical help to deal with those issues. Talking to a therapist or a psychiatric person or whatever the case may be, right? Getting on the proper medications if you need those to deal with some of the issues that you're going through, right? Sometimes we're not strong enough to deal with those issues on our own. And that's perfectly okay. It takes time for you to realize that this isn't something I can deal with on my own. And sometimes you'll realize that by, in the example of the Facebook group, by saying, I want to do shadow work, but I don't want to deal with the dark and twisty stuff. That's where you need therapy, in my opinion, because if you're not willing to deal with that, but you want to do like it doesn't work, because that's not like shadow work is dealing with the shadow self. Okay, it's the darkness, it's the twistiness, it's all of that. Okay, and yes, there are spells and there are rituals and potions and oils and candle magics and this and that and the other thing that you can do, but unless you're really, really willing to just deal with that, to have your entities or your spirits or your gods or goddesses or your demons or saints or whatever it is you work with, to bring that stuff forward and force it into your face and make you deal with it, I would probably not do shadow work. I would seek out a therapist who could help me get through some of those issues. Now, shadow work and therapy can work together. Okay, it's you having to be willing to put in the work in order to get the desired outcome. Okay, so when we do shadow work, we're not manifesting anything. Okay, we're going inside of ourselves, and shadow work can look like anything. It could be you're going for a walk and listening to music, and maybe there's some things that you need to think about or you need to deal with in your head. And that's a form of shadow work. Lots of muggles do it. Haven't you ever seen a TV show where somebody's like, I'm going to go for a walk because y'all stressing me out and I need to think about this? Okay. I mean, it's not necessarily, well, I guess it kind of would be. I mean, it really I guess it's based on my definition of shadow work, because my definition of shadow work is dealing with the drama or the trauma and the pain and the misery. And you can see that very clearly in the Grimoire Season 1 and Season 2. Okay, so check that shit out on my channel. It's a playlist. You'll find it. It's not that hard. Click the playlist section on my channel and go find it. It's not that difficult. Okay, so how does that relate to witchcraft being dangerous? Well, the only way that it could get dangerous is if you are not willing to deal with it and you're trying to do spell work to banish it. I've only ever had this experience once, so I don't know if other witches have had this experience or if this is a thing for other people, but it was for me. When I attempted to do shadow work and I attempted not to deal with the underlying issue that I was trying to deal with, one of the things that had happened is that trauma had started to manifest in my life, not in a physical form, but in a spiritual form. There were these spirits that just kept polluting my space with their negative energy, right? And it took me months to figure out that it was me. It was me allowing the thing that I was attempting to not deal with, but deal with, to manifest. Okay. And that's when shit can get scary, because you don't know. At first, you might not know, okay, is this a rogue spirit in my house? Is this a demon? Did some witch cast me? Like, what happened here? And it turns out that you manifest the shit yourself. Okay, that's where it can get a little dangerous. Witchcraft is not a toy. Okay, shadow work is not something to be done lightly, especially if you're dealing with some of the traumas that I previously mentioned before I told all of the trigger people to get the fuck off my channel. So, how can witchcraft be dangerous? I mean, all we're doing, aside from shadow work, all we're doing, like, that's mentally fucking you up, okay? Because when you do, we're going to get to the other part of the question. When you do shadow work, you are releasing that stuff up, you're bringing it up, you're dealing with it, and you're either releasing it or you're putting it in a box somewhere else and marking it as done, right? You're essentially letting it go. Some things, I do believe that there are some things in this world that we can't let go of, okay? They just might be deeply ingrained in us for one reason or another. And again, that's where I suggest therapy, okay? So if you're doing shadow work, again with the trigger, okay, trigger right here. You don't like triggery things, get the fuck off my channel because you're not welcome. Shadow work, when you are bringing up things like childhood trauma or spousal abuse or rape, the issue becomes how deep into that memory or memories do you want to go? Because, for example, if you're working with the Morgon, and if I were to start doing shadow work into my childhood trauma, then she would start bringing those things up one at a time for me to deal with, right? And it can get really overwhelming and very taxing emotionally, mentally, physically, and it's not something that you do in a weekend. It's not something you light a candle and 24 hours you're cured. It is months, if not years, of hard work to overcome that stuff. You think me doing a grimoire series is just dealing with whatever trauma I'm talking about in that particular season and then I'm free of it? No. No, there are months and months of me having to deal with the stuff that I brought up in the series to show you guys how I do shadow work, how shadow work gets done. And I'm an artistic kind of human being, okay? So shadow work in itself isn't necessarily dangerous in the way that it will hurt you, but it could bring up things that you really are not prepared to deal with on your own in your craft, okay? And that can lead down a whole road of issues, okay? So when you're thinking of doing shadow work on a particular thing, right, like I would seriously suggest contemplating if therapy wouldn't also help at the same time. Now, you do you with whatever it is that you're dealing with, right? You will handle this however you want. I can't tell you what to do with your life, okay? It's your life, not mine, your body, not mine. Leave mine out of it. So, you do you is the point, but now we're going to get into how or if witchcraft on its own is actually something that's dangerous. And the answer is, I don't know. I mean, if you think about it, if we take the core definition of witchcraft, remove all of the paths, remove all of the different practices, right? And we're not talking about hoodoo or voodoo or Wicca, or we're talking witchcraft, okay? Not ceremonial magic, not kitchen witchery. Well, that is kind of witchcraft. Not Wicca, because Wicca can't be dangerous, okay? I'm gonna say that, and somebody in the comment section can definitely correct me if I'm wrong, but I am 99.9% sure that Wicca cannot be dangerous. Okay, at least not this modern new age bullshit that everybody's so invested in, okay? This crystal loving, hippy dippy, I manifest my reality can never be dangerous. Where it gets dangerous is when people start screwing around with things that they have no idea what they're doing, okay? So here's an example of screwing around with things that you have no idea what you're doing. Working with demons. You're like, oh, demons aren't dangerous, are they? They can be. Mentally, emotionally. We hear these stories sometimes about how somebody will work with a Ouija board and then all of a sudden a spirit will get trapped in their house, or they'll unleash something into the... And for the longest time, I've always thought Ouija boards were just a joke. Because I didn't think there was anything, like, I mean, you buy these things at Walmart, for fuck's sakes. I mean, like, how dangerous can a game, and I put game in quotes, be that is uh, aged to like 12 years old plus, right? Like, how dangerous can that really be? And we hear the stories about people not saying goodbye or thinking that they're talking to their grandmother when in reality they're talking to Lucifer or some other spirit or demon or whatever. And in my opinion, this is fear mongering. Okay, I think a lot of witchcraft is fear mongering. Okay, and it's all psychological. You're like, but yes, it's all psychological. Witchcraft is all psychological. If you think, okay, I want you to try this experiment. I want you to think about something, just anything. Preferably positive, not negative. But if you want to think negative, you do you. I can't tell you how to live your life. I want you to think about something. And I want you to no spell work, nothing. You don't need anything for this. Just think about something over and over and over and over again. Over and over. Not just tonight, but tomorrow and the next day and the day after, until that thing that you're thinking about manifests. It's all fucking psychological, okay? We think about it, it happens. It's psychological. We don't think about it, it generally doesn't happen, okay? I mean, you can't go around thinking, oh, well, the pandemic's not a thing, it doesn't exist, because that is a thing, and it does exist. But what I'm talking about in an example here would be like, what is a good example here? If I'm thinking that I'm going to lose my job, and I'm thinking that over and 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 over again for like ever, right? I will lose my job. Things will happen in my life where my work performance or something else will fall down the drain. And as a result, my superiors will notice that and start to question. If I continue to think, oh, I'm going to lose my job or this other horrible thing is going to happen to me, it will manifest. It's all fucking psychological. Okay. That brings me to wonder if witchcraft can be dangerous, because in my opinion, and I've had this opinion for a while, so I'm going to throw this opinion out there on a table and see just kind of reaction I get back from it. If you were to go and curse somebody, and that person doesn't believe in curses, is it going to affect them? You will say yes, because you know your magic works. You know that what you put out there will manifest. But will it? Will it really? If somebody curses me and I'm just like, no, you didn't curse me, nothing happens. Either their magic is super, super weak and pathetic and useless, or it's all psychological. Some of the Facebook trolls that I see all the time in these pathetic groups, they like to troll other witches by posting these curses. In fact, the other day, I haven't seen this since I started here on the Witchy Show. Oh my God. 4 years ago, I saw this. And like last night, I saw it again. And I was like, wow. Okay. 4 years ago, I was posting this Facebook group and I was talking to these people that were just being assholes in this comment section. And so this lady decided, and I think I have a video up of it somewhere. Maybe it's the fake witches video that I did, the very first fake witch video that I ever did. Maybe. I don't know. But there's this video, and I think it's still up, where I'm talking about this particular post. And this woman had gone through and written out this rhyming curse. And she's like, ooh, as you read this or some shit, this is going to happen to you. Well, guess what? I read it. I read it on YouTube. And Nothing ever happened. It's all psychological. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that witchcraft isn't real, because it very clearly is real. We manifest the things that we want. But it's all in our mind. Right? So like, if you're manifesting money, which is the most prime example I can give, if you are manifesting money, if you are working that magics to bring in that money, right? You are putting it into your mind that I'm going to get the money is mine, the money is here, the money is in my bank account, I'm using the money to pay my rent, I'm using the money to pay my car payments, I'm using the money to buy food, right? It's all in your head. And then all of a sudden, a couple of days later, money comes flowing in. Now, I'm not saying that's not witchcraft, but you also have to realize that 90% of that was in your head. When we do magic, when we put our intentions into a spell or into a candle or into a jar or into whatever it is that we are casting, the main thing that will happen is we are in our head. Whether we're astral traveling or whether we're not astral traveling, it's all in our head. Whether we're talking to the Morgon or we're talking to a demon or we're talking to a spirit, it's all in our head. Unless you're some crazy person where they're like physically manifesting in front of you and talking to you and you're like, oh, hi, I can see you. And maybe that happens. I don't know. But in my opinion, 90% of witchcraft is in here. Hello, Hellspine. How are you? I hope you're doing good. So where does it get dangerous then? How is witchcraft so dangerous? Well, again, it's kind of not. I mean, it depends on your definition of witchcraft, and it also depends on your practice and your opinions on witchcraft and your understanding and all of that fun stuff. At the end of the day, it's all up here. Okay. The spirits that you manifest, yeah, you may have them in your house. Okay. We all have spirits in our house, the little shadowy things that we see, or little entities that move here or there, or little whatevers, right? I'm not saying that that's fake. I'm not saying any of this is fake. I'm just saying that 90% of the craft is up here. Okay. And I'm not talking knowledge retention. I'm talking it's all in your head. Okay. Now, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's a scary reality. Okay. Here's an example. Long time ago, when I was chatting with Tequila and Wednesday, and we were on Google Hangouts, and we were friends before we became bitter fucking enemies. Okay. Long before all the drama, and we were just chatting, I could feel Tequila's spiritual entities outside on my balcony. Okay. That is not up here. That is real shit. Okay. So where I'm going with this is that I actually don't know where I'm going with this. Because I just spent 5 minutes telling you 90% of witchcraft is up here, and then I just told you that sometimes it's not up here. You're like, where is it? Where is witchcraft? When we're doing spells, when we're casting magic, when we are manifesting, it's up here. Because we're putting the intentions in. We're manifesting that energy. And what does manifesting energy mean? What does it mean when I say I'm manifesting the energy? I'm putting the energy in. It means that the energy is coming from me. It's coming from up here, and it's coming from me. Sometimes I may work with a god or a goddess, and I may feel their presence, okay? But a lot of times it feels like witchcraft is just all up here, right? We don't talk with our spirits out loud, or at least I don't think most of us do. I think most of us have the conversations in our head. Okay. And that's why I like to say that witchcraft, 90% of what we do is up here. Now, with the spirits and the entities and all of that we conjure, that's where it gets into a gray area. And that's where I begin to see how witchcraft can be dangerous. Okay. Oh, y'all having a conversation over there. Okay. The hell was I saying? I lost my train of thought trying to like look at chat and see if anybody was asking questions. And now I'm lost again. Thanks. I'm lost. Oh, spirits and entities. That's where we were. When we conjure up our spirits and we conjure up our entities and we have a conversation with them, like I said, it happens up here. But sometimes, because we are capable, everybody is able to manifest their own things. Oh, no, you're fine. Hell's fine. Keep chatting away in the chat there. I love you long time. I was just looking over to see if anybody had any questions or anything. Anyhow, when we manifest something, okay, let me back up. Let me back way up, all the way up, because I'm getting lost in my own thoughts here. This is why I need a co-host or like a second person on my channel to like keep me in the topic that I'm talking about. Okay, let's use a money spell. So you sit down at your altar and you light a candle. No, go backwards. Don't even light the candle. So you sit down at your altar. Okay, you need to do a money spell. Let's say rent is due next week. You don't have any rent money. First of all, ask yourself why you don't have any rent money. My job doesn't pay me enough. Time to get a better job. I spend all my money on things that I don't need. Maybe stop doing that. The first thing that I always do when I sit down at the altar is, why am I here? Because I believe that 99% of my problems can be solved without magic. And that may not relate to you. But there's that 1 or 0.1% of the time where I need magic. Okay. Spirit needs me to do something for them, like a blessing or a ritual or, I don't know, whatever the hell it is that the spirits have asked me to do, which is usually protection magics, astral travel, blessings, offerings. That's about it. It's 4 things, okay? So I sit down at the altar and I ask myself, why am I here? What am I doing? Why can't I accomplish this without magic? Okay. A lot of the times as witches, we like to just sit at the altar and be with our spirits, our entities, and that's fine. There's no shame in that, right? I do that. You do that. We all do that. However, when I sit at the altar and I ask myself what it is that what it is that I'm doing here, the answer usually comes to me from the spirits. Sometimes I will think, I need to do a money spell. And the spirits will say, no, you don't need to do anything. And sometimes I won't want to do a money spell. And the spirits will be like, you need to do a money spell. You need to bring this money in. Or there's something that's going to happen that you can't see and you need to do this money spell. Or you need to protect the money that's coming in. Or you need to make better choices in how you manage your money. Okay? Once I figured out why I'm there and how magic can help me, I then go and start to contact the spirits. Okay? Now, this is the part where it gets a little confusing because I have previously stated that 90% of your witchcraft is up here. Okay? So you've sat down, you're up here. You're conjuring your spirits, you're up here. You're dressing your candle, you're up here. You're putting intentions in, you're up here. You're blessing or you're manifesting, you're up here. As I had spoke in my Dancing with Demons series, which you can find by clicking the playlist section and going through the playlist until you find Dancing with Demons, there is this concept, at least in high magic, that everything we do starts in the mind of God. Whatever God is for you, whether it's the Christian God, whether your God, whether it's some other God, whatever the case is, the almighty, the all-seeing, the all-effervescent energy. I'm not talking about the Morrigan, I'm not talking about a demon, I'm not talking about spirits, I'm talking about the all, the everything. Whether you call that God, whether you call that Allah, whether you call that whatever, I don't care, okay? But for simplicity, we're going to call it God, okay? And yes, I am referring to the Christian God, at least from the texts that I have read. Because a lot of high magic and ceremonial magic, a lot of its concepts are rooted in Christianity and all of that fun stuff. So when it comes to the manifestation, everything happens with a thought in the mind of God. Okay, and then it gets passed down through a whole bunch of other things, and then it's finally manifested on the material plane. The easiest way to think about this is, let's say you're getting a new table for your house, right? You need a new table. Doesn't matter what kind of table it is. You just need a new table. Instantly, you have brought that to life in your mind. You've brought that table to life. Maybe you even see where the table would go in your house. Maybe you see the color of the table. Maybe you see the type of table, right? So you've brought that to life in your mind. The actual manifesting it onto the material plane would be you going out and buying it. Okay? That is the easiest way to simplify that. So as witches, everything starts with a thought in our mind, okay? And we manifest it in our mind. And then it manifests in the material plane, assuming that there aren't a bunch of obstacles and so on and so forth in the way. In my case, I like to think that we put a bunch of obstacles in our way. We think there will be obstacles in our way, so we manifest those obstacles. And then we end up doing road openers and spell breakers and this, that, and the other thing to get past those obstacles that we have manifested ourselves. Okay. Now, how the hell did I manifest getting turned down at the bank for a mortgage? Now, why didn't I do magics to unblock that? Because there's a reason you got turned down for that damn mortgage, okay? And it will tell you why. Maybe your credit is crap. Maybe you don't have enough money. Maybe they don't trust you. Maybe this, maybe that. Maybe you don't have a job. Whatever the case is, it usually boils down to something about you. That sounds kind of mean. I could easily see how 1,000 people could take that the wrong way. It's not you as a person, it's something that you have done in the past, maybe, that is creating that roadblock. Or maybe it's something that you've been thinking about. Remember how I gave that little exercise a few minutes ago about thinking about something over and over again? If you've cast the spell and then you sit there and you think, oh, they're going to deny me, my credit must be crap, or they're going to deny me, I don't have a job right now, or they're going to deny me, do I have enough money, right? Those negative thoughts are your roadblocks, okay? There may be other actual roadblocks out there, such as, I don't know, like I said, you have no credit, or you have no job, or your financial situation is absolutely crap, right? And magic isn't necessarily going to help those situations unless you're willing to do the work that you need to do in order to manifest the thing that you want, right? Why are we throwing fireballs in the chat? What is happening? I'd love to work with you. I wish there was more people on the chat. The way I don't look clingy. Why are you here? That's a mean question to ask. I'm here to be comforted by this soft angel lips. Oh, could you imagine? What the heck? I didn't get a notification of you being live. Okay, see, this is probably because you people don't have your notifications turned on and you're not subscribed to me. I have found that ever since I've been broadcasting on TikTok about my channel, that people come to my channel, but they don't subscribe and they don't click the bell notification. You got to do those two things in order to get all your notifications. If you're not getting notifications, then I have no idea what's wrong with YouTube. Where the hell were we in our rant? We were talking about doing the work to manifest the things that you want. Okay, so you know how I was telling you a while ago that a lot of the magic is all up here? Okay, right? We're sitting down at the altar. Why are we here? We are dressing the candle, putting intentions. We are conjuring our spirits. We are astral traveling. Okay, we are visualizing the thing. Okay, see how I'm pointing to my head here? Because witchcraft is all in your head. Most of it. Okay, most of it. The things that we do are the things that happen up here first. Every spell, every thought that you have starts here. Okay. Every idea you have to conjure a spirit, to reach out to a god or goddess, to reach out to a demon, a saint, starts here. All starts here. You might think, oh, my spirits have told me to reach out to this. No. Maybe, but chances are it starts here. Okay? So, like, how does witchcraft become dangerous? Or does it? Like, if it's all in our head, then what's so dangerous about witchcraft? What is so evil and dark? Nothing, really. I mean, even the spirits and the entities that we deal with, in my opinion, it's all psychological. I'm not saying they don't exist, okay? I'm just saying that a lot of the things that we experience in our craft, we experience up here. And that's not a bad thing. It can be a good thing if you're not crazy, okay? But it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just, it's how it happens. It's how we manifest things. It's how we take control of our universe. Because the only universe that we are in control of is our own universe. We're not in control of Lunar Wisdom's universe. We're not in control of Ember Honeyraven's universe. We're not in control of Hellspine's universe. We're not in control of Lewis's universe. We're only in control of our universe. Okay. We can only make choices that affect us. Now, some choices we make do affect other people, especially if you're in a relationship or you have kids or you have family that's around you or you have a close circle of friends, right? But for me, the craft and the choices that I make only impact me. They don't impact anybody else around me. It's just me. Okay. When I do magic, it's not for somebody else. I mean, sometimes it might be, but most of the time it's for me. I think there's only been, 3 videos on my channel where I do magic for somebody else, where they're evidently in the video. And 2 of those were in the Grimoire series. Oh, wait, there's a 3rd one that's coming. But I think that's in April. Oops. So everything we want to do as witches starts up here. And I think the reason that a lot of people talk about witchcraft being dangerous is because they don't know what they're talking about. A lot of us witches have taken our power back. We are in control of our own destiny and are in control of our own fates. But are we really? Or is anybody really in control of their own life? We might think we are as witches because we can manifest and we can curse and we can protect and we can block and we can cast fireballs apparently in chat and we can do this, that, and the other thing. But at the end of the day, are we really in control? Or are we just opening the doors that we would have eventually opened on our own without the craft, but with the craft? Why are we eating people's remains? Don't eat people's remains, okay? That's not cool. At least boil that shit if you're gonna eat people's remains. So, I don't think, and this might be really naive of me, but we're gonna throw this opinion out there, that witchcraft is dangerous. I think a lot of it is Christian rhetoric, and not just Christian, but religious rhetoric overall. I think a lot of it is psychological. I think a lot of it is up here, which plays off of the psychological part. I think I do, like, I know that the craft is real, but I feel like we as human beings would eventually arrive at the same destination eventually as we would if we used witchcraft. I feel like witchcraft sometimes is a easy way to get the things that I want without having to deal with anything else, right? So like if I call up Boone and I conjure him and I say I need money, right? He's gonna find a way to get me that money. Okay, it's gonna happen because I have manifested it in my brain. I visualized it and I continue to visualize it. The other thing you need to realize, and I'll get to your question in a second, Louise, is when you manifest something or when you cast a spell, you're not done. When you cast a candle spell, for example, to bring money in, you're not done. Because just because you sit at the altar for 2 or 3 hours thinking about that money doesn't mean it's going to manifest. You need to continue thinking about that money and bringing that money into your mind. You can't just stop manifesting something when you walk away from the altar. You're constantly thinking about it. We all do this. We do this subconsciously, right? We'll sit at the altar, we'll do a spell, we'll walk away, we'll watch some TV while the candle's burning. But every now and then we'll look at the candle and we will see that we are manifesting the thing that we want. Excuse me. Can you lay the fuck down, squeaky creature? I had a question. What's the difference in energy when working with your own energy and working with demons or angels or saints? That's a really good question, actually. So when I'm conjuring Boone as opposed to putting in my own energy, there's a lot more work there. In fact, there's a lot more energy that you're putting in. When you're using your own energy, you're manifesting that from within yourself. When you're calling upon another entity, whether it's a spirit, a demon, an angel, a god, a goddess, whatever it is, you're using their energy. And if anybody has worked with your own energy and then worked with, say, the Morrigan's energy, you will know the difference, because the Morrigan, depending on how you work with her and the relationships that you have with her, has a completely different energy than you, right? Like that'd be like sitting down and holding your hand's friend and channeling their energy into a spell, which I've done. And that energy is vastly different than your own. The easiest way to explain how it's different is to look at your friend. Like a real human being friend of yours, right? Look at their life. Look at how it's different than yours, right? That is the same way in terms of energy when you compare it to demons or saints or the Morrigan. Your relationship with them determines the type of energy that they're going to give you, at least in my opinion. With the Morrigan, if I'm in a pissy mood with her, she's going to give me pissy energy right back. Okay, and I know it's not my pissy energy because it's more potent. Okay, my pissy energy is not as potent as the Morrigan's pissy energy. Okay, and I bet you any witch will tell you the exact same thing. So the question becomes, the core concept, the core question we've got is witchcraft dangerous? Not really. I mean, again, that depends on your definition of witchcraft. That depends on how you work witchcraft, right? If you believe in your heart of hearts that it's not all psychological and it's not all in your head, like I know Lunar Wisdom is saying it's not, then you're probably going to say that yes, witchcraft can be dangerous. Because you're messing around with spirits, you're messing around with entities, you're messing around with tarot cards. I mean, tarot cards are just as dangerous as Ouija boards, apparently, according to one Facebook group post. I read it this morning and then they deleted it, or a mod locked it or something. I don't know. Somebody was saying that tarot cards are dangerous. I'm like, how? How the is tarot? No. And Lewis is actually correct. Witchcraft is what you make of it. Because remember, it's what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. It's the same with a job. It's the same with a friendship. It's the same with a relationship. What you put into that thing is what you're going to get out of it. Okay? I put everything that I have into my craft. I believe in my craft. I believe that I'm a powerful witch. Maybe not as powerful as some other people out there on the internet, but I believe in my heart of hearts that I am able to manifest the things that I want, to take care of the people that need to be taken care of, and to protect the things that I want protected. I believe that I have that power. I believe that I have a solid relationship with Morrigan and with some of the entities that I work with, specifically the spirits. Okay. However, I don't believe it to be as dangerous as some people on the internet make it out to be. Do I believe that you can still get yourself into trouble? Absolutely. Especially if you're screwing around with things that you don't understand. Because even though, in my opinion, a lot of what we do is up here, okay, there are other things out there that we don't understand. We don't understand spirits. There's no science behind spirits. There's no science behind demons. There's no science behind angels. There's no science behind witchcraft. Because 90% of it is psychological, but then there's the other 10% that's not. These are the things we manifest into the material plane. You can manifest a spirit. You can manifest a demon. You can manifest an angel. Maybe not in corporeal form, standing in front of you, talking to you. I mean, unless you're a ceremonial magician standing in a triangle circle, then maybe in that case, I mean, most of those people are screwed up on drugs anyways. I watched this person on YouTube conjure a demon on LSD. All I had to do was Google demons, or I think it was like demons and witchcraft, or working with demons and witchcraft, or something like that. And this video came up of this guy conjuring, I can't remember what demon's name it was, but it was like conjuring X on LSD. Well, that's definitely going to be all in your head, because LSD is just going to take you on a trip. Guess where? In your head. Sometimes witches will use hallucinogenics in their craft. So they might use weed, or they might use acid, or they might use mugwort, or they might use something else to attune themselves, right? I found that when smoking weed, the craft was muddier. It wasn't as clear. It wasn't as cut and dry. I found working with entities to be a little more difficult because I couldn't articulate the things that I wanted done properly. Okay, so my magic was kind of all over the place. So again, that's where it's like, it's in your head. And if your head isn't on right because you're on drugs or you're emotionally, right? Like, this is another reason why we say don't do magic when you're depressed. Don't do magic when you're sad. Don't do magic when you're grieving. Because you have to be in a mental state, an emotional state, to do the types of magics that you want to do. This is why a lot of witches also say when you're angry, don't do curses. But if magic is all up here, if everything starts up here before manifesting onto the material plane, then I should be able to do magic whenever the fuck I want. If I'm angry and I want somebody to burn because I'm angry and they've pissed me off, and it starts up here and manifests on the material plane, then why the hell not? Why do I have to guard my emotions? I mean, yes, our emotions, much like Charmed, actually do affect our magic. If we're angry, we notice that our magic is more potent. If we're sad, we notice that our magic is a little less potent. If we're depressed, we may not have any magical energy at all because we may not have any energy at all. Okay? It's not like you're going to Boone, for example, when you're depressed and miserable and conjuring money, like getting him to conjure you money. Okay, there's the whole reaching out to Boone. There's the whole talking with Boone. There's the whole asking Boone to do the thing that you want done. Okay, and that can take a toll. And if you don't have the energy to reach out to him because you're miserable and you're depressed and you're this and you're that, then he may not hear you or refuse to speak to you and may not grant you what you want. Or he may want to with you. And how would he do that? By sending tricksters to make you think that you're getting the things that you want, but in reality you're not. This is the part where witchcraft can get a little dangerous, because if you're just flying off the cuff without ever thinking about anything, without ever doing anything, then shit can get kind of crazy. But if you're actually putting the time and the thought into it, that I want this specific thing to be manifested on this specific day or specific week or whenever the hell it is that you need it manifested by, and I'm going to work with this entity and I'm able to clear my mind and I'm able to focus. Remember, it's all up here. This has to be clear. This has to be in a state where you are able to think clearly about the intentions that you want to put in. If you're sad, you're miserable, you're angry, you're upset, you're whatever, you're not going to be able to think so clearly. Right? This goes all the way back to the beginning of this live chat where I told you that 90% of witchcraft starts up here. The other 10% manifests onto the material plane in some way or some shape. And sometimes we give these things that we work with a form. So we may give them a servitor, like a clay poppet that we've made, or maybe we sew up a poppet, or maybe we bought a figurine or something that we can house this spirit in. Okay. Sometimes we may conjure a spirit to the physical plane. Okay, when I work with spirits and entities, I usually do it on the astral plane. Sometimes when I'm doing videos for you guys, I just do it on the physical plane because it's a lot less taxing than having to go to the astral plane and conjure the thing that I want and put the intentions in and then come back. That's really taxing. So what I'll do in a lot of my YouTube videos is I will do the blessing and the conjuration where I say, okay, let's put intentions in together, right? And then you might get like 2 or 3 minutes of that. And then the end of the video, and then afterwards I go and do the whole astral projection, the whole everything, right? Because a lot of it is up here. Everything's up here. The spirits we have a conversation with, the demons that we talked with, the money we manifested. It all starts here. Okay, do we bring it onto the material plane? I believe so. I believe that's the other 10% of witchcraft, where we bring it onto the physical plane. And that is where witchcraft can get dangerous. Not dangerous like how you've read about in books where there's babies being sacrificed or we're dancing with the devil or some other shit like that. I'm talking about when you are working with entities that you are bringing forward You are asking for them to come to you. Okay? You are asking that demon to come to you. You are asking that spirit to come to you. That's where shit gets dangerous, because that's when you manifest that shit onto the material plane. And if you don't know how to banish it or get rid of it or say goodbye to it in a respectful way or whatever way you're supposed to get rid of the thing that you've conjured onto the plane, that's when shit gets dangerous. Okay? And if we go back to the shadow work topic that I talked about, if you're not willing to deal with those deeply traumatic psychological issues, that shit can manifest onto the plane of existence as well. And it may not manifest as a spirit. It might manifest as you losing your job, or your relationship ends, or something happens in your life because you dug up all of this stuff, refused to deal with it, pushed it all aside, did some kind of releasing spell, and then just refused to acknowledge that the pain and the trauma that you dug up is still there. Okay, that will leak out and manifest in various ways onto the material plane. So when you're doing magic, yes, 90% of witchcraft happens up here. The other 10% is the shit you manifest onto the physical plane. And that shit that you manifest, if you don't know how to clean up after yourself, essentially, can start to wreak havoc. If you start working with 6 or 7 demons at once, right? Like maybe you're doing 6 or 7 nights of conjuring I don't know why the fuck you would do that, but let's pretend you're doing 6 or 7 nights of conjuring demons, and then on Saturday and Sunday well, that's 5 nights. And then on Saturday and Sunday you conjure up spirits and you're dancing with the spirits, right? And then Monday comes around and your house feels funky and full and heavy, and the energy feels heavy. So you sage it out, you cleanse it out, you put the intentions into your universe, because it's not the universe, it's your universe. Okay, we're not asking the universe for anything, we're asking our universe for something. Okay, you know, like Countryelle is her own universe, I am my own universe, right? And our universes come together when she appears in my chat, right? But it's... Where was I going with this? I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I agree. You're right. If your mindset is not in the place, it can cause damage to yourself and others. By the way, I love your channel. Thanks for loving my channel. Make sure you're subscribed and have that bell notification turned on. Miss Pippi, shut up. I'm petting you. So, just to wrap this up, because it's been an hour and I don't want to do this live chat anymore. Just to kind of reiterate everything. Witchcraft isn't a toy, but it's not dangerous in the way that the internet makes it out to be. Because 90% of the craft happens up here. The 10% is where it can get a little tricky, or a little... And I put quotes, like triple quotes around this word dangerous. Because even then, I really don't think that the craft is super dangerous. Like, you're not going to die from practicing witchcraft. You're not going to get cancer tomorrow from practicing witchcraft, okay? You're not going to drop dead because you conjured a spirit onto the plane of existence and you don't know how to get rid of it, right? I think a lot of things that we see on the internet, specifically talking about, oh, I've got a demon in my house, or I've got a spirit in my house, or I've got this and I don't know how to get rid of it. I think a lot of that is psychological. I think they have manifested something, but they've manifested it up here. And so now everywhere they look, they see it, but they don't know how to get rid of it, right? I do believe that there are instances where we are able to manifest, say, a demon, let's say it's Boone or one of his associates, on to the plane of existence, but we're not manifesting them like Hollywood magic. That's the crux of this. A lot of witches think that magic works the same way it does in Hollywood. And that's why a lot of people think it's dangerous. Among the religious idiots that are spewing nonsense and so on and so forth, right? But I honestly believe that 90% of it is up here. The plague doctor is Belith, not Boone. Boone has got the jesters. The plague doctor is Belith. If any of you have worked with Belith, you know that he comes with his entities. Now, for me, the first entity he introduced me to of his was a plague doctor. Literally looks exactly like a plague doctor. Okay, picture it in your mind. You know, the big beak nose, all that. That's exactly how he appeared. Your words are wise, like a turtle that has learned to skateboard. Turtles don't learn to skateboard. And if a turtle ever learned to skateboard, then I would be terrified. I mean, they move slow enough as it is. You don't need those slowkers moving on wheels. That's how the tortoise won against the hare, I think. Yes, the hare. Okay, the tortoise got on a skateboard and beat the hare. That's how it works. Now, I realize that this live chat's been all over the place, okay? So let me give you a little bit of understanding of why. Because I have quit weed. I have quit smoking weed, so my thoughts are a little scattered at the moment, but I hope that you guys were able to get something out of this video, and you should all go check out my Lucifer and I video that's up on my channel and watch that, because apparently YouTube is just not giving out notifications anymore. Stop throwing fireballs! Like, I will come up with a power of 3 spell to vanquish you, motherfucker. I just need some of your flesh. Before I go, I do want to talk really quickly about Charmed for a second. It does relate to witchcraft, so just give me a minute. In Charmed, a lot of the times when they go up against more powerful demons, they need some of the flesh from the demon. They need a piece of the demon to make the vanquishing potion. Here's something that I learned that actually works. No, you're not going to be able to say a power of 3 spell and vanquish the evil spirit in your house. However, if you are able to coax that spirit into a container of some kind, you know how we do with servitors, how we will create the servitor, or how we will sometimes conjure a spirit to live in a vessel, if you will, whether it's a clay puppet, a puppet we made, a doll baby, whatever, right? If you can coax that spirit in your house into the container and then just get rid of the container, you got rid of the spirit. I mean, it's that simple. This only worked once for me, okay? And that was when I was dealing with a very negative, very dark entity that had manifested after I did the first season of the Grimoire. Okay, once I had finished the recording and was starting the editing process, I had realized that there was a very dark presence in my house. And at first I thought, this is in my head. Like, this is just in my head. And then I realized that it was actually a spirit that had manifested because there were some things that I had not dealt with in that particular series that were still lingering, and I had let manifest onto the material plane. How I got rid of this thing was creating a clay puppet and coaxing the entity into the clay puppet, and then just getting rid of the clay puppet. Now, that didn't deal with the psychological trauma that I was dealing with at the time of recording the first season of the Grimoire, but it did deal with the spirit. Now, will that work for you? I don't know. But it worked for me in that one particular instance, okay? Slaughter the pig as they are young. Pig looks like a funny. That's my beef. I have no idea what's going on. And it's not the king, it's the queen. Is it Zakara? It's the queen. I am the queen. Anyways, so I really do hope that you guys got something from this. And yes, it is Queen Elsa. All hail Queen Elsa. I'm the fucking queen of all witches on YouTube. Just kidding. But I really hope that you guys were able to get something out of this. And I hope that this has kind of helped you look at the craft in a... Stop throwing fireballs at me. Throw fireballs at Zakara for calling me the king. Do that. Don't throw fireballs at anybody. I don't know. Somehow this chat started with a fireball. Somebody started talking about a fireball, and now people throwing fireballs at each other. Obey your queen. Stop the fireball. Oh, you are all my subjects. Anyways, but I really do hope that you guys got something out of this. Okay, I really hope that this kind of helps you look at witchcraft a little differently. Instead of thinking about how you're all powerful and you're going to manifest everything, think about where it all starts. It starts up here. It's always up here. That's why I think, you know, magic is 90% of witchcraft is psychological. That's my opinions. If you disagree with me, I want to hear those disagreements in the comment section below. But until next time, my fabulous knife-throwing Zakaras, I love all of you. Okay? I do. End stream. End! Christ.